Welcome to the Fake Racers Podcast, episode 20, 30 something. I don't know. I don't really care at this point anymore. I've lost all care for a lot of things,
Episode
Davey.
numbers. Episode numbers.
We don't need episode numbers. You just know it's our post Richmond, post Barber, pre Talladega, pre St. Pete podcast. That's all you need to know. Clean shaven, I'd like to say over here. Had to go to the old, it's the DMV for everyone else, but here in Michigan, Secretary of State office, get a new license picture. They had to make sure I could read a row of letters because we got that big the big 2-1 in June, so can drink a little of the bubbly too.
The bubbly.
But I'm Joe Swansky.
I'm Davey Hazard.
And this is the Fake Racers Podcast. Look at that. Didn't even plan it.
We did that really well. That was really good.
If I was smart, that's where we would put the little intro. Once we, there's gonna be stuff I'm doing in May for all of us, for us at JTN. I'm just relaxed right now, Davey. I called a great race at Hobo Racing last night from Richmond.
It was good. Good. You and Ricky both did a good job.
I was having a fun time. If you didn't know, notice, I was having a fun time. As always, thanks to all our fans. And if you want to become a fan after you watch this, make sure you hit subscribe and like the video. If you hate us after this, well, just stay subscribed. And I'm sure you could mute new post notifications or something, but stay subscribed because we appreciate the support on YouTube and all the people that follow us on our podcast platforms. But without further ado, I'm trying a new thing this week with the podcast, so the people on YouTube will see it. Not so much the people on podcast platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple. We're gonna do some transitions. We're gonna shake it up a little bit here, kind of prepare to do some new stuff. But without further ado, let's get right into this episode. Let's talk first about Alex Bowman and Richmond, Davey.
Alex Bowman.
In passing before the broadcast, and by in passing or broadcast before the podcast. I'm getting so confused. It's Wednesday. We don't broadcast Wednesdays usually. Alex Bowman snatches a victory at Richmond. It was a lot of people were criticizing this race, and it goes back to that whole, I don't think people don't know what they want, right?
Yep.
You hear, oh, we want long green flag runs, green flag pit stops. Hey, we got green flag pit stops. Oh, this race is so boring. I'm falling asleep in my chair. What gives?
Yeah, I don't understand. It's the identity crisis thing that I always come back to with NASCAR. People don't know what they want it to be. And I'm not saying it's the same people who are. I think that's a really tired argument where it's like, oh, 1 week the fans say they want action, the next week they say they hate this, and it's like, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's two groups split right down the middle of, what they want, where they want a race that plays out like this, or if they want a race that has some mix it up to do. And this was a very natural race. The race progressed well. Personally, I enjoyed watching it. I have a bias towards watching Richmond races. I just really like watching the cars kind of heave down to turn one, so I'm a little biased with that. I think it's a really fun track to watch cars at. I thought the race was fine. I thought it wasn't anything spectacular, but again, I just think people there's a group of people who they just don't want this kind of racing. They don't want the races to play out naturally, because when the race plays out naturally and there's not constant action, it's not good enough for them. And it's whether you agree with that or not, it's up to you. I personally thought that the race, I'm not saying it was a great race or even a good race. I thought the race was just fine. It happened. Sometimes those things just happen. It's the same in any sport. And I think no matter what side you're on, a race like Richmond this past weekend, you just kind of got to accept that it happened like that. You can't really moan about it. I don't think you can say it was particularly boring, because it wasn't. It was a decent race. It's a NASCAR race. It's long. It's going to happen.
The end of it probably saved it for a lot of people too.
True. It was a good ending.
And this is something I want to talk about. Boyer did a really good job of pointing this out, and it was something I noticed throughout the whole race. Alex Bowman. Now, Bowman had issues at Martinsville. He started deep in the field. He won the race, right? But throughout the race, he was constantly able to pass cars. He worked his way all the way up inside the top 5 in stage 2. There was a caution. I don't remember if it was the stage 2 to 3 caution, or I think that had to be the caution. It was. They had a pit road penalty, so tail end of the longest line, and had to work worked his way back up into the top 5, started at a deficit of about 20 or so cars over that last long run, worked his way back up into the top 5. I think he was in 3rd. Fantastic run for Bowman. They had speed in that car all day, and people are, and I hate when people do this because if you're not running at the front, you're not relevant, right? And that's kind of that's a TV thing. It's a TV thing, right? Because it's so hard to focus. I even know during our broadcast, it's hard to focus on anything outside the front because the moment you switch to a battle for 15th, all of a sudden leaders are passing each other. And what would you rather see, battle for 15th or battle for the lead? So it's like a risk reward.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword too, right? On that note, it's a double-edged sword. If you are watching the leaders and nothing's happening at the moment, and there's a pass for 12th or 11th or 13th or wherever in the field, that's a relevant position. There's a pass, and then there's good racing going on back there. People are going to moan about not seeing those races or position. People want to see those midfield battles. I want to see them personally. I think a few other people that are fans talk about seeing them that I know of too. But if you go and you like, it's just it can go either way. You can miss one thing really quickly, but whatever.
Digress.
You know what I'm saying.
No, and that's exactly it. That's why you got to go to these races if you have the opportunity, right? Because we even talked about this Daytona road course from last August. Terrible race on TV, but you said it was a great race in person. A lot of that has to do with cameras and what TV decides to show. And that's not anything against TV because it's a very hard position to be put in. Because you had throughout this Richmond race, you had Denny Hamlin and then Truex and then Logano towards the end there. Those cars were within a second of each other. That's close. That's close, especially at Richmond where it just takes missing the line just a little bit going into a corner and all of a sudden the guy's right on your bumper ready to pass you going into the next one. Because it's such a momentum racetrack. I gotta slow my words down because they're starting to slur a little too much.
No, you're good. Good.
But
no, you're right. It was a particularly close race before that caution at the end. I mean, the leaders were right there on top of each other. And that was natural racing. Like, it just happened that way.
And that's the thing. I think it's going to be more prevalent probably with younger fans. You know, you're 12, 13, all the way probably up to 18, even probably up to our age. Where there's going to be this great debate because you're old enough to remember what it was like beforehand, but you're not so ingrained to it. You know what I'm saying? You're not so... And there's obviously outliers. I think Tommy would be an outlier, friend of the show. But
yep.
it's about trying to please everyone. You can't always please everyone with these races, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Denny Hamlin's dominant again. I mean,
Jesus.
That's his first second place finish on the year. I guess that's what you can say about this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Denny has been so good.
He's been so good since they teamed him up with Chris Gabehart. I mean, wherever Gabehart was before, someone really missed on getting that guy because he's probably got the IQ, 50 million.
Yeah, that is a powerful duo. Those two. It's been nothing but success for those guys.
And that's what's so important is about finding these driver crew chief combos. Chase Elliott, Alan Gustafson. That's a really good combo. Because Allen's has reined in some younger guys before. He worked with Kyle Busch when Busch came up into the Cup Series. Then he had to work with Casey Mears and then Mark Martin. So there was, a wide range. And then Jeff Gordon for the end of his career, or end of Gordon's career, and now with Chase. Think about Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn. Keselowski and Paul Wolfe were a great duo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's just these combinations where they just seem to naturally get each other, and then Denny's got that with Gabehart now. Didn't have that with Wheeler. Didn't have that with Grubb. You know what I mean? Didn't have that with those his former crew chiefs. Had success with them, but not to this level where I think they just clicked. Yeah.
I can't speak personally because I haven't really been able to tune into radio communications that much, being who I am. But Denny Hamlin seems like someone who really needs I don't want to say like a therapist because I think that's like going too far, and maybe I don't want to like.
He needs that calm voice in his ear.
But he needs someone there that's more than just the guy that works on the car. He needs someone that's coaching him.
Yeah,
he really does, and he thrives with like a clear head, you know.
And that's for any athlete in any sport. I'm sure if I actually thought of examples right now, I'm blanking. But there's been good combination where players are really good for one coach, and then they go with a different coach and they're terrible. And a lot of that is coaching, right? And I think that's what some of these guys, they kind of just know what their drivers need, or at least they mesh a little bit better together.
Yeah.
You look at a combo like Bubba Wallace and Mike Wheeler now, right? I think Wheels is probably in a weird spot because he was competition director over at Levine last year. Now is the competition director and crew chief at 2311, which I don't think people realize. That's a lot, especially because that team has so much pressure. I believe that's true. I could be wrong. That's why we have Google in front of us. But you just have to find that balance, and it's a lot of tasks. It's a lot of strings. So when it's just Denny. I think Denny has been so dominant because he's found his guy. Right? Everyone's got their soulmate. It's the same thing with driver crew chief combos. I said Kevin Harvick, but Stuart Haas Racing had a better weekend this weekend. Eric Almirola was really quick. I think he ended up getting the top 5.
Very fast.
Needed a good finish. Yeah. Harvick was running good, but then of course late race, which is probably that summed up his season. He's been good, not great like we're used to seeing Kevin Harvick, but late race incident, all of a sudden he's finishing 20th, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's wrong with SHR?" We did it last week because everyone was talking about it. But it's about preaching that patience. Look at Eric Almirola, top 5. Harvick running better. Briscoe and Cole Custer still struggling, but I think a lot of that has to do with practice, no practice, Yeah. And you're no longer in a car that's like miles ahead of the rest of the field. But it's just, again, with SHR, they finally they got something going. They probably brought something to the track that they weren't bringing, that they were trying to save. But if you're Almirola, you're probably in a must-win to make the playoffs now, especially since we have 8 different winners in the night, or is it 9 and 10? It's 8 and 9, right?
It's 8.
And we're probably going to get a new winner this week, whether it be a guy like Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, those guys that we think are going to get in, or it could be a wild card like an Eric Jones, a Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse. Although Stenhouse is up there in points, so that's not a fair knock on him. But
it's going to be interesting to see the kind of pressure that puts on some of these more impressive drivers who may not get a win this season. It's going to be really interesting to see as that goes on, because those guys are going to start taking more risks. It's going to really shake up the bubble spot. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
The guys who are normally comfortable top 10 in points, they're going to be on the outside now. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know exactly what the playoff picture looks like right now. Personally, I don't think it really particularly matters unless you won a race.
It doesn't matter till July.
Unless you've won a race, it doesn't really matter. But I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. I mean, there's just so much moving around to do. I mean, do you think we're gonna get 16 winners? I don't think we are.
I don't think we're gonna get 16, but I can see 14 because you got to think Denny Hamlin has to win a race at some point, right? Brad Keselowski hasn't won a race. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, that's 4 right there. Chase Elliott 5. So what? We're up to 13.
We're up to 13, and those are gimmies. Those are gimme race winners. Like, no one would bat an eye if those guys won a race.
So you got to figure that leaves you 3 spots. And don't forget,
so insane.
So, and that it all started at Daytona with McDowell winning. Christopher Bell wins the 2nd race on the year. William Byron the 3rd race. Byron and Bell were guys that probably came into the year. You're thinking they're going to be on the bubble, competing for points throughout the summer like they have been doing. McDowell, you wouldn't have ever guessed.
Yeah.
Still angry about that 500, but whatever. But, people think the 23 car is going to be good at Talladega. They were really good at Daytona. They're going to be good this weekend. They'll be good at Daytona in August. They're going to have better races. You got to think that as they get more practice together, they're going to get better.
Yep.
It's a 5th Gibbs car, whatever you want to say. That team's going to get better. They're going to start competing. They have the budget.
There's a lot of guys who are...
The 2 other SHR cars, Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, they have the equipment. Something's not clicking, but they have the equipment.
everyone like in points without a win, like 12th to 22nd right now.
Panic.
They have a shot. They have a shot, and they're also panicking right now.
Matt DiBenedetto.
I was just thinking Matt DiBenedetto. I was literally just thinking he is one of those guys who I think, without the crazy kind of season we would have having, I would have put him in the playoffs pretty comfortably. He's had a nightmare season, and 8 drivers have won already. It's
scary.
Well, there's going to be so many good cars that miss out on the playoffs. I honestly, I'm calling it right now. The NASCAR meltdown this year is going to be the playoffs. It's going to be about the playoffs. There's going to be a knockdown, drag out meltdown over the playoffs because there's going to be a lot of good cars that miss this year, just on the basis of what we've seen already.
Well, and even last year, right? Eric Jones didn't make it in. That's a Gibbs car. Jimmie Johnson didn't make it in for that was only the second time in his career they didn't make it in. I mean, big names were left out last year, and we were kind of like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. This year, Roush has looked better. We didn't even mention Ryan Newman and Chris Buescher. Those two guys, I mean, they could sneak out a win.
Newman's always fast at the plate tracks.
And not even that. Like, dude's got a big brain up there. So, it's crazy. It's crazy how this season has kind of started, and that's a great transition. You know, David? That's a great transition. So we're going to transition to our next topic.
Actually, real quick, though, before we transition to the next topic, I want to still talk about NASCAR real quick. Truck Series. I only want to bring up the Truck Series because I predicted the winner.
You did do good. You did good. John Hunter Nemechek, congrats on second truck win of the year. You got to figure that Ford truck has to win like 4 or 5 races for it to be considered a successful season.
Yeah.
But
okay, cool. We're good.
All right.
We can move on.
Moving on to IndyCar from Barber. This was the race I feel like I watched more of, at least. It ended before the Cup race, so that was good. We'll talk about it now because there was a lot of interesting stuff. Let's start. Alex Palou in the Ganassi number.
What a drive!
He's in the 10, right? He's in the number 10. Yes, he is.
Car numbers in IndyCar don't matter to me, so except for one. So.
Except for one, but nobody has that this year. So Palou wins the race, first career win. They called it a really good strategy. They did the 2-stop instead of the 3-stop, I believe. So, or maybe they did. I don't recall. I think they did the 2-stop.
Yeah, I was switching between.
I know, I was too.
But I wasn't able to. I'm not.
Maybe
I don't
they
have
did the
a good
3-stop.
read on the strategy.
I know. O'Ward did the 3-stop, and he was the leader when when they did their first stops and whatnot.
Yeah, so, tough break for O'Ward. He
was
really
quick.
Well. Yeah. Won the pole. Stayed up front for a long time. What a race!
Yeah,
what a race! It
really
came down to it. It really came down to it.
I mean,
that battle at the front.
Top 4 were within 2.5 seconds. I mean, they were all in frame there for those last 5-10 laps. It was crazy, and that.
Go ahead.
And that's IndyCar is really pushing this. It's kind of like how Fox has done with NASCAR. Oh, it's the greatest season ever. IndyCar is really pushing this year. Yeah, there's more energy with their marketing campaign this year than there has been in the past. That's coming off of last year, which I think was a really good year for them. Viewership wise, they have a bunch of races on big NBC network television this year, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Some of those scheduling things, but they have to capitalize on that, right? I believe their contract with NBC is up in a year or 2. It might even be up after this year. So you have to capitalize on a lot of momentum. You got to build it, right? So, let's keep building.
It's a good move because I think I just want to talk about IndyCar real quick. I think IndyCar is also kind of in an identity crisis with itself on what it wants to be in the terms of like how it markets itself to people.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I don't think, and not in like a showy way, not in a disrespectful way, but I don't think they market the danger of IndyCar enough, which, like it or not, is attractive to people. IndyCar racing is dangerous, and there's a way to show that. And I kind of like the defy everything. It kind of skirts around it, mentioning the fact that it's dangerous without, just ignoring the fact that the drivers are doing something incredible, because those cars are insane. Those cars are incredible, and you don't get an idea of how good. What you doing?
I was just showing when you open the IndyCar app, it has As like Sato, Scott Dixon. I couldn't tell all the faces, but it says defy everything.
Yeah,
That's their tagline.
I like it. Like I like it. I think it's a good idea. It's something that people have been clamoring without answers, obviously, because they're race fans just clamoring for stuff. Market IndyCar better. Market IndyCar. IndyCar just needs to market itself better. It's like, well, that can be true, but how do you do that?
Right.
And I think they're finally starting to kind of work out the kinks and figure it out. And I like it. I think this is going to be a bigger year for IndyCar.
And it has to be a credit to Roger Penske and the whole Penske group, right? They bought IndyCar IMS 2019, and they had their season go off the rails because of the pandemic, right? You can't do anything about that, but I think they turned a really bad situation last year into something really good, right? They have the iRacing Challenge. They're doing it again this year with a couple races. I think 4 races again. Kind of like NASCAR's doing the Pro Invitational still, to kind of fill in some holes in the schedule, try to get people excited, which is a good thing. I'm still not sold on having iRacing and sim racing on TV. I don't think that's your target audience in the first place. But
yeah.
You know, I'm all for it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. But you know, I don't think you need to do it.
Yeah, they could get away just fine with a Twitch stream and donations going to a charity or something like that.
Exactly. Without having to, but you know, if TV wants it, TV wants it. That's good.
Yeah.
Off topic though. Like you said, they have this identity crisis. They even have this identity crisis with their scheduling, right? They're taking ovals away. We're doing a Texas doubleheader this year, and I don't think anyone was asking for that.
No.
Nobody's asking for more Texas. No one's asking for more Texas.
Fair enough.
You know, you're not gonna go to tracks. You're not gonna go to Las Vegas, for obvious reasons. You're gonna stay away from Pocono. That's not the argument we're having tonight.
I know.
Right? But
we're not gonna go there.
Right.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. This is Davey's big issue is why do we go to Indy if we can't go to Pocono's theme? But this is just a synopsis of it.
We gotta have an episode about.
We're gonna talk about IndyCar scheduling on an episode. That'll be one of our summer episodes when NASCAR's off for a couple weeks. But back on topic. You're right, and they have an identity crisis, and it's not even just with their marketing; it's with their scheduling. Taking ovals away, kind of. You know, I think they were supposed to race at Richmond last year, and obviously Virginia didn't let NASCAR go to Virginia. They didn't let IndyCar go to Virginia. Iowa's not on the schedule anymore. That was always a good race. So like, there's these things. I believe I was looking at the schedule beforehand, and folks, my brain is like sludge right now. But they have this scheduling. They have this identity crisis. You hate to see it, right? Because the racing is so good. I remember my first Indy 500. That was experience of a lifetime. And we were sitting on the berm there, coming off of turn 2 in the infield on the golf course. Like, it's not... we're sitting in the stands, couldn't see a TV, but just those cars going by. I've been to Belle Isle a couple times for the Grand Prix there. IndyCar is a fantastic experience. I think they need to market the experience kind of like how NASCAR does. Because that will bring in a lot of people, because these cars are so much faster. They're cooler looking, right? They're more unique in the way they look. And that's nothing against stock car NASCAR. It's just they don't look like the cars you see every day. That's the appeal. And like IndyCar, you can get it like Belle Isle. You can pretty much you can walk through the paddock for free on Friday. Like, that is such a cool experience. They do all kinds of stuff. Belle Isle, the practice day is free. You don't have to pay. You don't have a ticket that you got to pay. All you got to do is pay for parking in the city of Detroit. Not that big of an issue. $15, and you pack a car full of 4 or 5 people. Easy day.
It's an outing.
They have to market that, and that just, it all goes into the identity crisis, right? What do you want to be? Because you're in a unique spot too. The electrification's coming. Probably sooner rather than later, especially for IndyCar. They just did the test at IMS for the new boost push to pass system that would be the electric component that they're going to bring on. So those are things you got to look at. Is there anything else you want to add to that before we talk about your man Jimmie Jam? Okay, so Jimmie Johnson, because that's obviously the big topic, especially because we're a NASCAR show, I guess. I'd like to think we primarily are. We're not talking about F1 this week, even though that was a pretty good race there too in Imola. But Imola. Okay, Imola. I said it right.
Wonderful racetrack. Goodness gracious.
I got that Italian city name right. Let's go. Johnson struggled. Yeah. And we expected that, right? We expected that. We said as much last week. Yeah. Spun one time in traffic, which again, stuff like that's going to happen. He even laughed it off. It's so cool, and you can probably talk about this more. It's so cool to see Jimmie Johnson happy.
Oh my god, dude, you don't even understand. I mean, it was so clear. Like he was trying to enjoy himself in his final year in NASCAR. He wasn't a fan of the cars. He talks all the time about how Indycar is what he would rather like try to drive. Is a lot of spin, a lot of tire, a lot of power, a lot of grip, just that sort of thing. Yeah, it's nice to see him genuinely enjoying himself. And honestly, here's the thing about him struggling is everyone looked at the weekend Jimmie Johnson had, and they were like, yeah. He's he's 45, right?
I think so.
He's 45 years old, a rookie in my opinion, probably one of the hardest top tier racing series cars to drive.
Yeah.
In an Indycar. I would say they're harder to drive than a Formula One car.
Yeah.
Like just in general.
You don't have as much aero downforce.
Not as much aero. Do Indycars even have power steering yet? I know they used to not.
I think so.
Yeah. It's just it is a different beast to anything he could ever get his hands on. And he only spun the one time in traffic at the top of a hill, which
made it out of the wreck okay. I probably
made it out of the wreck
got
just
some damage
fine.
To the right side pod, but I mean, could have been worse.
Could have been worse, and the only reason he got that damage was because he was on the brakes and he locked the rears up, trying to avoid the crash, and he made contact with Hinch. Nah, I ain't mad about it. I'm happy for him. I could not be more happy to see him having fun on a racetrack. I mean, he was enjoying himself, and he's only going to get better. He wants to put in the work, and he's going to put in the work, and that's why I love the guy.
I'm excited for St. Pete this weekend too. Noon on NBC.
Did you hear? Promotion. Have you checked the forecast?
Is it rainy?
Looking like might be rain on Sunday.
Ooh baby, we're gonna have some. Baby. All those St. Pete sites aren't going to be very pretty, but it's going to be an interesting race because that track's mainly concrete too, so it's going to be extra slick.
Yeah, that track is going to be not pretty in the wet.
But another Romain Grosjean finished 7th.
Brilliant run.
Yeah.
I mean, just brilliant. He was leading one of the practices as well.
Rick Ware Racing, everybody.
Rick Ware Racing. Probably the most talented driver he's ever had in any of his cars. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I like Romain. I liked him in F1, and it's cool to see him. He might be able to find some success this season. I think that's really cool.
I still wish he was running the full season. He's not. I think he's not running the ovals.
Correct.
Or he's not, and then not the 500. Correct. Which kind of sucks because
That's what we all want to. That's what we all want to see.
Yeah.
That's what we all want to see. We all want to see these guys do the 500.
Yeah. Let's just 40 cars in the 500. Let's do it.
Well, let's not.
Let's not do that. I know.
Let's not do that.
But let's go back to that lap 1 incident. Joseph Newgarden, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Colton Herta, Hinchcliffe, all taken out. Those are some big names, especially Newgarden and Herta, who were 2nd and 3rd, I believe, in points last year.
Yeah, up at the front of the field when the wreck happened as well.
Yep.
Was kind of saw it coming though. That first lap, those first few corners, it was like they're going.
The other thing is, season was supposed to start like a month ago, right? St. Pete got pushed back this weekend. So there's been a lot of pent-up energy and excitement, right?
True. Also, I think a lot of people, I think it was the red tire that a lot of people weren't used to yet, and it took a while to get it up to temperature. Jimmie Johnson actually struggled a lot on that tire, believe it or not. But
Jimmie
yeah,
Johnson struggling IndyCar? What?
What? Washed up? No, they were talking a lot about how the red tires are really hard to get up to temperature, or until they got up to temperature, they were very hard to drive. So that probably played a lot of role in it too, because you kind of saw Newgarden step out before he went into the dirt, and then once he was on the dirt, it was over.
It's gonna happen, right? It's early season jitters. Just get them out now. Wreck now, not later.
Yeah, like the Daytona 500, where he wrecked half the field on like lap 18.
Well, hey man, hoping for better things this time.
Yep.
Pain.
Killed the Daytona 500.
And it's our favorite segment of the week, I would say, right? I think it's because we get to sell stuff, so that's always fun. We like to sell stuff.
Circling back to our roots and peddling for money.
Hey, money's nice. Apartments are expensive, and especially in college cities.
I said circling back. Circling B.
I know.
Circling.
I'm just trying to talk about my pain and suffering. Go ahead, Davey. Tell them what you're choosing this week.
I'm gonna order this tonight using code JTN for free shipping. The 2021 Jimmie Johnson number 48 Carvana Indycar navy blue T-shirt. It's got the front and the back. Got the little design on it. Not the one with the car on it. The one with the car is kind of cool too. So I say pre-order that. Get it for the IndyCar race you're going to attend this season, because I know I am when I go to Nashville.
Look at that plug-in. Are you gonna be producing content for JTN while you're in Nashville?
Do you want me to?
I would love it. I want you guys to do it in Charlotte too. There's a big group.
Charlotte's gonna be easier because I'm going to more of the race. I'm going to more races and like more days of racing. So maybe Charlotte will do that.
JTN vlogs. The USORL trip to Charlotte.
JTN going postal.
My pick is a guy that's had terrible luck this year. Fantastic race car driver, Ryan Truex is 2020. It's in stock, so it's 2020 diecast. It's the same paint scheme that he's running this year in that 40 truck with the marquee Spa. Again, use code JTN. I've been picking trucks lately. I love the truck series, man. Except this year. This year has kind of been poopy, but a lot of wrecks. But Ryan Truex's 2020 Marquis Spa truck, you can buy it at circlebdiecast.com using code JTN at checkout for any of your orders of $20 or more. Doesn't matter what you're buying. Hats, koozies, Sam Bass posters, t-shirts, and then, of course, diecast. You use that code JTN at checkout. You're going to get free shipping on your order of $20 or more.
You can get diecasts from Circle B. What?
You get diecast from Circle B Diecast. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. You should get some. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And folks, when I say they're the best, I mean it, because I've been a customer since 2014. They are the best, and you should check them out. Again, circlebdiecast.com. We have the links to their two products we chose, but you can also browse their entire website. Like Davey said, there's a couple Jimmie Johnson IndyCar shirts available that you can look at. I think there's a hat too.
There's a hoodie.
There's a hoodie. That's what it is.
It's a hoodie for those cold months.
So, circlebdiecast.com. Go check it out. Go check out what we chose. Linked in the description below if you're on YouTube, and if you're on the podcast, circlebdiecast.com. So moving on to the hot button topic this past weekend.
Start at noon. Always start everything.
That's not what we're talking about.
No, start the NASCAR races at noon.
Always start them at noon. Saturday, noon o'clock.
Early start, noon.
Talladega this week is actually, I think it's like a 2 o'clock start.
Hey.
Can't wait. So excited. It's an hour earlier.
I know. We're not burning the midnight oil tonight.
It's going to be a long race. It'll be a long race. There'll be 2 or 3 red flags. Hopefully everyone doesn't wreck on lap 18 again. That would be nice.
We're going to go into the darkness. Let's go.
You remember when they went into the darkness a few years ago?
Yes,
what was that, 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was first year Gen 6. Reagan won.
Yeah. And I remember the Xfinity race doing the same thing some other year too.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was they finished and then they were like, wait, no, we threw the caution. So we're not going to take the finish line. We're going to go back to the caution that happened off turn 4. And we had to throw the caution because it was off turn 4 or something. It was stupid.
Safety. Something safety. Screwing up the finishes of races in the name of safety. Good job, NASCAR.
That sounds really bad, but
it does. I know.
But I mean, it was off turn 4.
There's common sense that has to be involved in that, and I'm sure we're gonna get that. Something will happen this weekend where people are like, "Why did you throw a caution?" Probably be the ARCA race. Anyways, we're trying to talk about start times. This past weekend, IndyCar and NASCAR, they went up against each other. The IndyCar race, like I said previously, it ended before the Cup race did. So that worked out pretty well if you're flipping between the two. IndyCar race didn't draw 1 million viewers on network television. I don't know what their normal draw is, but considering, again, it was on NBC, which people can get over the air, so pretty much everyone can get NBC in this country. Why would you schedule your race to go up against the Cup race? And I guess because start times are scheduled months in advance and blah, 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 blah. Honestly, the Cup race probably could have been Saturday night and been fine, too. But NASCAR's the big show, right? I mean, you can't...
Listen, I'm just saying, if the local kart clubs and the regional races that run kart races down here, if they can all be nice and figure out their time slots, I'm pretty sure I cannot imagine how like NASCAR and IndyCar can't. Yes, I understand the broadcast and all that, but like you said, these start times are determined months in advance.
What
Why
I can't...
are they not just hey yo, it's IndyCar.
Hey, it's Roger Penske.
It's Roger Penske. Hey NASCAR, when's the start time for this race that we share a date for? Oh, it's at 3? Okay. I'm starting at 3 too. And then he hangs up. I don't like it. How does that happen? What does that mean? I don't get it.
Well, it probably goes back to the TV.
I know.
That's been the whole thing about not starting these races earlier this year is, 3 o'clock's a better window because more people are home and, long list of excuses for why we're starting at 3 when we probably shouldn't be. We could probably get away with starting at 1:30, 2 o'clock, a little bit earlier, right? I think any bit earlier would be better. Not the point.
Just a wee bit, but yes, not the point.
This past weekend we could have had that Memorial Day type. You wake up, you watch some F1, go watch some IndyCar, and then you watch NASCAR. Wow. Right? And people talk about that. Oh, it's such a special thing on Memorial Day, which we don't get. We're not getting this year, and I don't think we're getting any more because Monaco has moved.
Correct.
So that's big sad. That was pretty much the only Grand Prix I watched flag to flag.
And what a day that was. Oh, it was an event.
Sure. But you gotta schedule these races better, right? I mean,
things like this can't happen.
It's just
like how do you? It's the 2 biggest racing series in America, and no one had the foresight to just pick up the phone 3 months ago.
And again, it goes back to 3 o'clock's the best time to do this, so let's do it. Yeah, sure, but you can't go up against each other. Like, even for our viewers, if I know there's an iRacing, like the Coke series is running the same night as us, I'm like, okay, viewership's going to be like half. Right?
Exactly.
People are going to go watch the Coke series. I know when March Madness was happening, I talked to you about this. March Madness was happening, our viewership went down. Basketball on. It's national championship basketball. Can't compete with that. Not to say that IndyCar, again, this isn't talking about the product on the track, but just viewership-wise, IndyCar is a lot more niche, right? NASCAR is a lot more, it was big pop culture boom was NASCAR because IndyCar was going through their little tantrum split thing. It's what it was.
It was.
It's fine. Exactly. It's fine. It's all good now, but sometimes people, it's just like the Super League or whatever.
Whew.
That's hot button with Davey, but price locks on football now. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, that's crazy that European soccer was about to turn into an American franchise style league.
That's crazy. But it's almost like all the teams were owned by Americans. It's you can't do that, right? You can't go up against each other like that. It's not going to be good for either of you. You both lose. I think you both lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. especially because the NASCAR race wasn't particularly good this weekend. But they are the big kid on the street, right? They're the big kid on the block. They're the ones that are gonna get the lion's share of the viewership if people do have to choose.
Yeah.
You also have to consider how the streaming's gonna work, right? IndyCar this past weekend was the first weekend where stuff was streaming on Peacock. Practices, qualifying, which was really fun to watch actually, because if I didn't pay for Track Pass for IndyCar because not into it, but I get Peacock free through Xfinity, and bada bing, bada boom, I can watch IndyCar, which was really cool. It's about leveraging those things, right? I don't know if the race, if you could watch it live on Peacock, but you should have been able to. Because, okay, now I can watch it on my phone. I can bring I can bring a smart TV. If I have a smart TV out into the living room, and have 2 TVs set up, which is something that takes no effort, and bada bing, bada boom.
You probably could. I was using the actual NBC Sports app to watch the IndyCar race.
Same thing then.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. The same thing.
Unless you don't have if you don't have a cable provider, then you can't log into the NBC Sports app. So
yeah,
that would be the issue there. Just over the air, because I know there's a lot of people that, again, that's why these network races are so big, especially for IndyCar this year. There's still a lot of people in this that don't have cable packages, and you don't get NBCSN. And it's also why when we talked about the USA Network thing with them getting rid of NBCSN, I think that's going to end up being a big thing.
Yeah.
Because more people get USA Network and NBCSN, FS1. That's where the races are going to go. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I know I'm going on a tangent here. It's
asinine to compete with, especially when there's the story in IndyCar of Jimmie Johnson. Like, that crossover is insane. It's crazy.
And then Alex Bowman wins the race in Jimmie's old number. Like, can you imagine?
A big deal.
Can you imagine? IndyCar race happens, and then during the NASCAR race, they do like a call to Jimmie Johnson or something, and they leverage that, and you get this brilliant cross promotion between the two. Or, if the IndyCar race was after the Cup race, maybe Cup started at 1, and you probably could have started the IndyCar race at 5 Eastern, and it would have been done, because that's what, 4 Central, so it would have been done by 7. You'd still have plenty of light. Like, they're cross promotion.
I have no doubt that we're going to see more of that when both series are on NBC.
Well, yeah.
There's going to be more of that then. I have no doubt, but it is a missed opportunity still now.
Put Dale Jr. in the booth instead of Paul Tracy, too.
Whoo!
Just do it.
Agreed. Isn't Paul Tracy out of the booth officially after this weekend?
No, I thought they added more races for him.
Ugh. I mean, no. I don't like Paul Tracy.
You do? You don't?
I don't like him.
That's okay. You don't have to like everybody.
Yeah.
You just can't spread hateful messages about them, and that's your JTN positivity reinforcement of the day.
Yep. That's what it was.
Scheduling sucks. Get better. Be better.
Be better. Pick up the phone, idiot.
Final topic of the day: Talladega is this weekend. We're not gonna we kind of previewed St. Pete already, so I'm not gonna. It's gonna rain. It's second race of the year. You should watch it because I think it starts at noon, so you should be able to watch it, and then you'll miss the start of Talladega again. 2 TVs, good idea.
Probably watch Dega. It's gonna be a crazy.
It's gonna be a mess. We've talked about. There's a lot of guys that are in need of a win. There's a lot of guys that. And that's such a weird thing to say sitting here April 21st. Happy birthday to my little brother, by the way.
Happy birthday, Joe's little brother.
But there's a lot up in the air, right? I can see a guy like Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott. This is where they get a win. And it steals that wild card opportunity. Eric Almirola, Matt DiBenedetto. Those are guys that are way back in points, but we probably would have went into the year thinking, okay, they're in the playoffs. But I can see a guy like Eric Jones winning this race. They had a good car in Daytona. That 43's always been quick on the super speedways. A little bit better at Daytona than Talladega. But Jones probably should have won this race last year. Still not over Ryan Blaney absolutely putting him in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. I actually have that. I got these. I got the whole NASCAR Authentics wave. I have it right here. This car is very controversial to me. I had a lot of mixed emotions as a team Penske fan, but also as more of an Eric Jones fan. I was like, oh man, this is why he's not going to be in the 20 car next year. Anyways, golly gee. So I see a guy like Jones winning. Buescher, Stenhouse.
Who's your
Reese.
pick? Let's do picks.
Oh, my pick's Eric Jones. I'm just gonna pick him for the sake of it. He's got that awesome Tuskegee Airman livery.
You already know my pick for this weekend.
Who's your pick?
You know my pick.
Who's your pick? Ryan Preece?
Yep. 100%.
Gonna stick to it.
I'm backing him. I'm backing him for these plate races. He's gonna win one of them. There's no way he don't.
He's got to win too, because remember they only have about 24 races of sponsorship, and they don't have a charter, so
yeah,
they don't get as.
Oh, I know.
Again, remember charter system. If you don't have one, you don't get as big of a cut of the prize money. Did you know that? Bet you didn't know that. Thanks, Rob Kaufman. I just totally lost any opportunity for job, but probably not.
Cut it out. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care.
No one watches this.
No one watches this. But I'm gonna talk to an employer, someone, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, aren't you that guy from the Fake Racers podcast?" I'm gonna have to go.
Pooped all over Rob Kaufman. That's my buddy.
That's my friend. All right, nice meeting you. I'm out. See ya. But
oh my gosh,
it's gonna be an interesting race. Honestly, you could, if you know, I would say it'll probably be a guy like Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace could win this race. That's another guy that's probably gonna have a really good shot.
He's gonna have a really fast car, guaranteed. He was really fast in Daytona, so
it was a shame that they had that wheel loose.
Yeah,
it would have been cool to see him and Denny working together.
Yeah,
that they were working together. But yeah, I mean it's Talladega, right? It's throwing darts at a dartboard.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you gonna do about it?
There's Xfinity race too as well.
There is Justin Haley.
Oh, you're just going straight for the pick. I'm gonna go Dinger.
Yeah, I mean, call it. Haley won the 2 races last year. Got pushed by his teammates. That
Colleague's really fast at the plate race. So
Talladega is Colleague's kingdom.
Basically.
Colleague's kingdom
is. Tune in today. Tune in to St. Pete, but Dega's gonna be crazy. I'm excited.
And we're gonna have an ARCA race. Do you want to try to pick an ARCA race winner?
Gotta pull up the dang.
I don't know who's in it. I'm just gonna go with Thad Moffitt because I really want him to have a good run. I want to see the 46 in the Cup Series one day, but yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. ARCA. Complete field for the General Tire 200 at Talladega Superspeedway.
ARCA, baby. 1 o'clock on FS1.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great race. Not gonna want to miss it. Brett Holmes, I think he's in that race, so that would be a good pick. Anyone who's in a Venturini car, Drew Dollar,
basically.
Corey Heim.
I'm gonna go Drew Dollar for the memes.
For the memes, is he the one that people don't like?
Yep.
Okay, cool. he won the race last year, didn't he? I think he won this race last year, and he wrecked his teammate or something.
I don't remember. I didn't watch ARCA last year. I don't think anyone should have.
I remember talking to about this Talladega race last year, and I was talking with people, and like, yeah, I fell asleep during it. So, they have to figure out the bodies in ARCA for these ways, because these composite 5-star bodies are kind of
boo boo.
But
nothing good about them.
Nothing good. No, they're cheap. That's what's good about them. They're cheap and they're easy to repair because they're cheap. But hey, that's how racing survives. I'm good with it. I like racing. Davey, that's everything on our show sheet. I don't know if this was a long episode, if this was a short episode. I have a feeling it's about an average episode, so that's always good.
It's average.
Where can they find out more from you?
They can find out more from me on Twitter at Davey Hazard. I've been posting hot takes for weeks now.
Spicy.
Hot and spicy takes.
About
Instagram
2 likes per tweet. It's
true. On Instagram at D7H5 and on Twitch at D7H5er with an ER. End of it.
Well, that's your YouTube too. Your
D7H5 is my YouTube. No ER.
Oh.
Yes.
Poor shame on my part.
Yeah.
And of course, the best way to keep up with me and JTN is check out the Johto Network Twitter at Johto Network. Check out our Facebook, facebook.com/Johto Network. Head on over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Johto Network. Are you sensing the pattern here? We appreciate all your guys' support. I talk about this every time I can. You guys are the best fans when it comes to broadcasts, podcasts. I mean, everything that we do, you guys really support. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your shares, appreciate your likes, your comments. Talk to us. Tell us if we're wrong. If you think we're wrong, tell us your ideas.
True.
I would love to get other people's ideas on here, because that's always the fun part of the broadcast when we're answering people's questions. I have a lot of fun with that.
Interaction is good.
It's not even that. It's just like, it's not even just interaction. It's fun to like hear other people's ideas and thoughts.
That's interaction, Joe. Well, I'd like to thank you all for listening to the Fake Racers podcast. If you have stayed this long, then we know that you're a great person. And
tell us you stayed this long.
Tell us you stayed this long. I appreciate you very much.
We can recognize you.
On behalf of JTN, Joe Twansky, Bristol,
sell the merch.
Myself, we'd like to ask you to buy our merch on Spring or whatever it's called now. I'm wearing it. I have the hoodie still. The hoodie's still very soft. The USORL on JTN shirt. That hoodie's awesome. That hoodie's cool as hell. I like that one. Go on Spring. Buy the merch. It's a good way to support us, an even better way to support us, which Joe might have already gone over. But I'm going to go over it again, because I think everyone deserves to hear it again. Subscribe on YouTube. That's the number one way to support us. That's the number one way you can tell Joe Twansky that JTN is a commodity that you want to be entertained by, and you want to keep up with the actions of this entity. That is how you can do that. Make sure to follow on social media. He already gave you all the things, so I'm not going to say him again. Why would I do that? That's dumb. Who does that? Not me. Anyway, thank you for listening, and have a good night. And be safe out. Watch some racing. Thank you.